Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ORPHAN PLC Investor Update presentation. Throughout this presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged. You can be submitted at any time via the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Just click Q&A, type in your question and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself, especially due to the number of attendees today. However, the company will review all questions submitted and publish responses where it's appropriate to do so. These will be available via your Investor Meet Company dashboard, and you'll be notified once they're ready for your review. I'd also like to remind you that this presentation is being recorded. Before we begin, we'd like to submit the following poll, and I'd now like to hand you over to Kyle Free, Executive Chairman of ORPHAN PLC. Good afternoon to you.
Paul, thank you very much, and thank everybody for dialing in or zooming in to get the update tonight. I think the reason I was very keen to an update, there has been a lot of toing and froing. There's been a lot of market volatility. So I think most of my 20-minute presentation tonight will probably hopefully deal with the volatility in the share price, how it's dropped off, what we're doing to correct it, and probably more importantly, rather than blame markets, explain some of the reasons why our share price. And bear in mind, I'm the single largest shareholder, so when the share price drops, nobody gets hurt more than me. And do bear in mind, I found the share price, I've been keen to increase my stake for quite some time. The only time I could increase it was post-publication results, publication of the last number of deals. That allowed me to give 2 times my annual salary. My annual salary in Open Orphan is 146,000, and I spent £300,000 starting, and that will be locked up for as long as I'm a director. As you know, directors cannot sell shares, really. Okay, without further ado, let's get into the reasons. First of all, let's talk it through. So hopefully everybody can see the presentation. I'll talk through some of it, and then I'm going to, I think we have about 45 pre-submitted questions plus here tonight. Do submit the questions. I'll work through as many of them as possible. And I have something from Walbrook. A lot of the questions come in, if they're ready in, we'll take them as they come. First of all, update. Overhang evening. As a result of the lockouts freeing up on the 27th of June, there was not one, unfortunately, there was 2. There was a significant seller in the market as a result of the end of the lockup. That particular seller, if you look at a share register, had 7.8 million shares. Unfortunately, he decided to just keep dumping them. And as you've seen, 7.8 million shares appeared at the end of June, and he kept selling. Could have been handled betterly, but we are who we are.
Hi, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like we've just lost Carl Hill there, so if you can bear with us 1 second just while he reconnects. Thank you very much. Carl Hill, thanks for coming back. Ladies and gentlemen, just while Carl Hill reconnects, will be 1 moment. Thank you for your patience.
Actually, hear me?
Carl Hill, hi, you're back with us. Well, you were briefly back with us. Just if you can just click on the link which you're in, just click on the microphone icon at the top of the screen and just come through. Thank you. Please bear with us, ladies and gentlemen, just while we get Carl back and connected. Carl, if you just click on the link there, reconnect through, that'd be great. Thank you. Just click on the microphone on the top there, Carl Hill, and then we'll have you back on the audio line. Thank you very much indeed. Do please bear with us, ladies and gentlemen, just while we get the connectivity. Carl Hill, hi.
Paul, can you see and hear me now?
We can hear you, we cannot see you, so perhaps we can just turn your camera off and just keep your audio line open, please. That's great, so we can hear you now, Cahill.
But let's try and see as well. Roy, you know what happened?
Yeah, I got it.
People can't see me.
If you just click on the camera icon, there's an old-fashioned video camera at the top of the screen, Cahill. If you just click on that once,
That's
it will
all.
come back on you, and it's slowly coming in.
Is that any joy?
No, I don't know if you want to just come out the link completely and try coming back in.
Yeah, let's try that.
Let's try that, and we'll just hold the investors on here. That's great, Cahill. I can confirm yeah, you're back on track.
Excellent.
Once again.
So that was a bit dramatic, a bit like the drop in our share price. The picture and everything dropped off, and it was symptomatic. Anyway, let me start again. First of all, I said there was a significant shell on the market result at the end of the lockup. That particular shareholder, if you check our register, held 7.8 million share. He has now been cleared. He's off the share register. Unfortunately, we weren't able to place his shares. Anyway, for other reasons. The market did blame. It wasn't Tony Richardson. He held 16.3 million in mid-June. He did sell, as a result of it freeing up the lockup, he did sell 1.5 million in June, and he sold a further 1 million last week. On the 6th of August, you would have seen his trade go through on Friday, and he has now agreed, he's reassured the board of the company, he's going to hold the rest of them. So Tony Richardson is keen. I think he buys into the company strategy now at the same time. He said he's keen to avail of the spin-offs and dividend species, and he's not desperate for cash. He thinks, well, where else will I put my cash? So I think there's a reasonably good working relationship with Tony. So I think the market can relax. There is other unfortunate result of that first shareholder dumping his shares, and he was a result of the lockup coming up. He was a legacy shareholder, nothing to do with the current management team, nothing to do with the directors of board. But look, it did create uncertainty. Secondly, around the exact same time as that shareholder who freed up on the 27th of June, it was almost a perfect storm. We published our results for last year, and again, there was a bit of confusion around there in the market, but what I wish to confirm that we are profitable, and market expectations suggest we'll be very firmly profitable for all of 21.
Thank you very much indeed. Do please bear with us just for a few moments as we'll get Kyle just reconnecting now. Kyle, thank you for reconnecting. I think let's just keep your audio line on, perhaps have your camera off for the time being, just so we can keep that connectivity as you seem to be just coming away. Activate your microphone and come in, that'll be great, thank you. Hi there, Kyle, just coming back through. Do please bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, just while we get that reconnected, thank you.
Okay, sorry, we switched PCs. I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me? Okay, and we can see if we get the video. The video is not on at the moment, no? No. Okay, folks, look, I'll continue. I apologize for this. This is a bit messy, but let me continue. Around the same period in time, in the June, we had our results for last year, and look, they're very clear. People were a bit spooked the way the results happened, that were we profitable, were we not? So basically, I can firmly confirm in 2021 as a company, no matter how you look at it, we're guiding the market, we will be very firmly profitable. Pre-tax profitable, EBITDA profitable, you name it, it is profitable. Also, around the same time, on the 17th of June, was the recording date for the Poolbeg Pharma spin-off and the 2020 results. On that day, 20 million shares of public were traded. So again, what happened there around the end of June, people got the feeling, sell Open Orphan, free up cash for Poolbeg. And there was a feeling that Poolbeg would be dilutive. Although I make it clearly, spin off these companies is absolutely not dilutive for the following reasons. Look at Poolbeg. Anybody who held shares in Poolbeg on the 16th of June, there was 680 million shares in Open Orphan. Today, there's 680 million shares in Open Orphan. But anybody who held a single share, you now have an additional, for every 2.8 million or 2.898 Open Orphan shares, you've ended up with one additional Poolbeg share at 10p. So 25 million in new funds come in from new investors, and Open Orphan shareholders own the majority of Poolbeg as we speak. Immutex, likewise, I'll come to that later, is not going to be dilutive. Prep Pharma is not going to be dilutive. And Disease in Motion are not going to be doing it the exact same way. So I'll come to that in a few minutes and show a page of that where it's not. During the Poolbeg IPO process as well, there was some issues in that we were very publicly doing it, and then for those 8 weeks, we were limited in what we could say and market updates. But during further spin-offs, and we know there's 3 of them up there in front as we've done, we will make sure that there will be very additional updates and information as we go along. And there'll be no more. You saw the market, there was almost an 8-week blackout, unfortunately, where we were. Furthermore, just make it very clear, I spent, I already said, 300,000 of my own money on the 14th of July. That's 26 points, that's 2x my salary. Due to increased demand, the challenge study business is expanding. We're now offering malarial challenge studies, and the aim is to sign 1 to 2 of those for the rest of this year and 3 to 4 of them into 2022. I've said all along, the Open Orphan business is 85% non-COVID. I know we've had a great bounce with COVID, but this year, last year, and next year, and I'll come to that how that's people say, well, it's basically from our malarial studies, from our RSV studies, which we had a lot of them. You know, the last one of them we signed was £7 odd million, and that's well underway. So we have non-COVID challenge studies, and really important for everybody to get. The minimum one is about 3 to 4 or 5. That's the average 3 to 5. But we have significantly higher figures. The last one was 7, and 7 million for a child, and we're pushing those up. The Venn Braid office and the Venn Paris offices are signing multiple contracts and doing very significant revenue both last year, but really important. But we only announce Venn contracts now. They're in excess of £1 million. Post-pandemic, the infectious disease market has experienced enormous growth. This is a part that has missed a lot of people. It's gone, the annual infectious disease market was 20 billion in 2019. Had been like that for 20, 30 years. It's exploding to 250 billion by 2025. That's 3.5 years away. As such, infectious diseases, the business we're in, there's a huge increase in the range and number of challenge studies for Open Orphan. There are flu studies, RSV studies, HRV studies, COPD studies, malarial studies, asthma studies, and of course, COVID-19. We're not running away from COVID. It's going to be around for a long time, but we're trying to get across the market why I constantly say we're 80 to 85% non-COVID. Just look at Q2, the Pfizer CEO's update of the Q2 highlights this year. There was 4 of them, but the key one will come to mind is the hVIVO's RSV challenge study. And it said, Fierce Biotech quoted, Pfizer jumps the queue and leaps into RSV vaccine contention with human challenge trials. COVID-19 studies, yeah, I know everybody's very keen to find out more what's going on there. They're ongoing and they're all free. The existing contracts underway. There has been a very significant contract extension announced in July. There will be follow-on vaccine antiviral challenge studies. They will take place when that study is completed, and the study is nearing completing. It's taken a little longer, like everything in this business. Sometimes I think everything should happen much quicker, but rest assured, the UK has been and is the world leader in the rolling out and approval of vaccines, and will continue the world centre of developing and testing vaccines for many years to come. So this is a cracking place to be based, to be doing anything to do with COVID studies, anything to do with challenge studies, anything to do with vaccines. Really clear, and what I'm trying to say, not alone is the basic business going really, really well, our challenge studies. Now, we do know over the summer, there hasn't been that many challenge studies announced for a host of reasons. I think as you go forward, rest assured between now and Christmas, there will be a good number of non-COVID challenge studies announced. And into next year, quite a number. I'm not saying the one every month, but maybe every second month at least. As regards to spin-outs, and really clearly, we have people thought we didn't do it. We've spun off Poolbag. We've handed our shareholders 25 million dividend species. So look at this. Our dividend species pre-16th of June, there was 680 million open orphan shares in issue. Today, there's still 6, so it's not dilutive. We handed them back. We awarded 1 dividend species share in Poolbag for every 2.9. We've covered that. So if you held 1,000 shares in ORF on the 16th of June, today you hold 1,000 shares in ORF, but you also own 335 shares in Poolbag. It's a HMRC tax neutral dividend species, as all dividend species will be for our shareholders. Thus, there's no income tax on that dividend we paid you. There's no need to sell your Poolbag shares to cover your income tax. The only tax you'll pay will be paid when the Poolbag shares sold. So that's clarifying there's been confusion about it. The IPO price was 10p, and we believe there's lots of upside in that share price. If it tags anywhere we did it in the open orphan one, just watch that space. Multiple of the IPOs in the last 2 months are off 10, 20%. We're up 8, 9, 10%. Okay, it's down a little bit today, but we're still up 5 or 6% since IPO. Did a lockup? People ask why. For 9 months to allow the share price to stabilize. It's held in trust by DAC Beechcroft nominees, and you will automatically, every shareholder who held shares in the 16th will automatically get those in 9 months post IPO. We may try and release some of them earlier, depending, Mark, but all we want to do is try and get the share price moving in the meantime. The spin out of an IPO of Poolbag Pharma completed the 19th. Pre-fundraise, ORF Pharma shareholders owned 90% of Poolbag. Poolbag raised 25 from new investors at a pre-money of 25, market cap 50, today 53, and that's with absolutely no news flow. And here's where the real synergy comes. We only hired 1 new employee to run Poolbag, the CEO, Jeremy Skilligan. We have up to 8 to 10 ORF employees now. 50% of their salary at least come from Poolbag. Office space and overheads are now shared by ORF and Poolbag. Poolbag will commission challenge studies and other work from ORF. So far from being dilutive and far from taking away from the value, people should understand the spin-outs are hugely valuable, and they're the opposite. It's huge synergy between the companies. The other non-core ones, I've covered open orphan, the data business, that is disease in motion. We all are working hard on that one. Prep Pharma, absolutely, 62% stake. And Immutex, we only own 49%, all I'm saying we are adamant we will get an announcement pretty soon. I know people say when it's pretty soon, to more or less take control of that process and make sure Immutex, 100% of it, happens over the coming months, because we've got kind of tired waiting on the 51% shareholder. So all I can say is rest assured that process is underway, and we're actually, now that pool bag is done, there's no reason why we can't do these other three very quickly and efficiently ourselves over the coming months. Financial performance, and I say, look, being perfectly honest with you, there was almost a perfect storm at the end of June, with one of the locked up shareholders dumping his shares. At the same time, we published last year's results. So this is what I want to clarify. There is definitely confusion in the market, last year's results. Last year's results were published end of June. We integrated 2 loss-making businesses last year. We took over hVIVO at the end of February last year. Bear in mind, it's only over a year ago. And we also integrated with the loss-making Venn business. We put the 2 together. Neither had made a profit ever before. We combined both businesses, and we made clear to the market we were operationally profitable in Q4 2020. That was very important. We're making it really clear now on the market expectations, we are profitable for the whole of 2021. At Christmas, we had cash at 19.2. People were a bit spooked at the end of May. Oh, where did the cash go? We dropped 15.1. That cash was preparing all 4 non-core assets. We will not be digging into that cash any further. That was preparing pool bag, our 49% stake of Immutex, Prep Pharma, and getting Disease in Motion ready to spin off. We also put some cash into non-core money, like we said, the wearables project, new models such as malaria announced today. And as such, I want to reassure the market that cash pile is not reducing. People are worried by the time we come to Christmas, will it have gone? Absolutely not. We may use a small bit for a bolt-on cash acquisition because we're in expansion mode in a very, very significant way with the business. So I want to address that. We will do a proper update at the end of September for the first half and proper guidance for the year end. But the real guidance is we're expanding, and people should rest assured this is a profitable business, will be profitable. And the days I'm not going to be buying shares in my personal name if I thought I was buying into a loss-making company. This is the piece that people should be aware of. We're in a 20 billion infectious disease market. We test infectious disease products. This market has gone nowhere for years. It was about 20 billion. It was really annual flu business. It's now exploding post-pandemic. And we have now a very increased range of studies under contract, under negotiation for flu, RSV, HRV, COPD, malaria, asthma, and of course, COVID-19. Hence, the expansion to malaria. There's a huge increase in awareness of infectious disease at the moment. Cumulative cost, if you think of the pandemic at the moment, was 17 trillion. That's 90% of the entire GDP of North America. So after 30 years of no investment by big pharma, you now have their 30 years catching up. Every major pharma company, Pfizer, GSK, J&J, Merck, Sanofi, have rolled out multiple new non-COVID programs in the last 12 months. They're restocking and replenishing 30 years of underinvestment in infectious disease products will be one of the biggest gold rushes in the history of the pharmaceutical industry. And Open Orphan are ready and waiting to test many of those products, which is a good place to be. Let me talk about that Pfizer one, the Pfizer contract alone. And this is the 4 key pointers, and this is the world's largest pharmaceutical company. So over a week ago, the CEO said our Q2 highlights, the 4 key highlights. And the first one, we've completely successful phase 2 a human challenge trial with RSV for adult vaccine candidates. Guess who did that? That was hVIVO. That was our study. We signed at the end of October and we delivered the data end of March. Bear in mind, we've always said our studies, 6 weeks, 6 months from signing to delivery. These are not big, long, multi-year studies. Challenge studies, money up front and completion in 6 months. The other 3 things, I'm not going to go into them, EU contingency authorization, patient doses, and forward recruitment. They were the 3 other highlights Pfizer had. But bear in mind, the key highlight was ours. And even Fierce Bio said Pfizer jumps the queue and leaps into RSV vaccine potential with a human challenge trial. So in summary, I've got a lot of questions answered through here. So I'm going to get through the summary. We have a really strong pipeline of challenge studies. We have new challenge study models coming through. A huge significant expansion in the infectious disease market. We're EBITDA profitable. in H1. So there we go, that's it. We're on target for all year profitability of 2021. That's EBITDA, pre-tax, matter which way you look at it. We are monetizing of the non-core assets. The first spin-off is complete. Opportunity to progress the disease in motion platform, and the demergers offer an excellent opportunity for shareholders to maximum the value to shareholdings in a number of other companies. The whole idea is we want to be a pure CRO. We don't want to think open orphan and then is left with very little. It's not. We're going to have a very profitable, very fast growing world leader in the test of vaccines and antivirals based here in London. And that's a pretty good place to be and to have. So without further ado, I want to bring up some of the questions and answer them. And if any of the other questions I see they're coming in through the chat box. So Elric at Small Company Champion has put forward 5, and he's representing a group of high net worth clients. So Elric's questions are as follows. He's got 5 of them, and they kind of cover a lot of the things we've just gone through at the moment. So his first question. You've often referred to COVID being 20% of the group business. This seems implausible to many. Do you mean in terms of time and company resources, cash generation? My point being, if the 2 government challenge studies are worth over 40 million, the natural question is what is the remaining 80% of the cash? It's total confusion. Yeah, look, really good. I keep emphasizing we're not a pure COVID stock. And of the, it wasn't 40 million, it was about 37 million. Quite a part of that went to the Royal Free for the rental facility. Another chunk of it goes to Imperial. And of our total revenue last year, it would be no more than 15-20%. Again, this year, no more than 10 or 15, because you can see the rest of our business is bringing in quite a few tens of millions, excluding the government contract. So that's what I want to make clear. People think we got every penny of that 40, plus an additional 10 for the extension. We have a substantial amount of extension between now and the autumn time, but that's what I want to make that clear. And that's why I emphasize we are not purely, yes, COVID has been interesting and COVID can and will continue the results, but we are in the challenge study business and covering all of those infectious disease products. Second question, dilution of the company cash post spin out. Before POBL spin out, the ORF at 19.1 million cash, post is 15. Investors assume there will be a cash drain for each spin out. Therefore, no cash remaining at year end. Absolutely, definitely not. We are maintaining that cash. The reason that drop, that was between the end of December and the beginning of the summer. And part of it was getting, first of all, getting pool bag ready. Second was getting each of the non-core assets ready. That investment is made. Third was getting our malarial challenge study ready. And fourth, knocking the business in shape. And for the rest of the year, we were targeting that cash should remain flat and growing as we go forward. Not, so there's absolutely no chance we're running out of cash. That's the very opposite. The beauty about me making it very clear, if we're solidly profitable for the whole year, where does the cash go? And people worry, are we getting the costs under control? If we are generating profits, we definitely have our costs under control. So there will be next to no further cash required for any of the additional spin-outs. They're all now good to go. Question 3, can you be more specific regarding the timing of the extension to UK government human challenge study commencing? If not, why so many investors are guessing? And more importantly, the net benefit in cash terms over and beyond the original contract. I think I dealt with that on question 2 in that there has been an extension. Like all things in the pharma industry, sometimes I try and move them too fast. That extension is underway and will be completed by the autumn time. Question 4, there has not been a TR1. The share price has fallen from 47 to 20. Can you explain to investors behind the dramatic fall? It is best not to lump ORF with other COVID-related companies because you have significant insurance policies with other projects. Yes, so I think I handled that. The shareholder who got unlocked up was below the 3%. So there's no TR1 required. He is now gone. Tony Richardson is also just marginally below it. Tony Richardson has assured us now and the board is happy. He's going to sit tight till summer of next year. So there's no tier 1 required. but hopefully if anybody looks at the 7.6 million shares of locked up, you'll see it has gone to zero. So hopefully the selling has now stopped from, let's say, that particular somewhat difficult shareholder. It's gone, it's clear. It has spooked the market, and there is other people maybe selling as well, but hopefully over the coming weeks, as we now start delivering positive news flow back into the market, we'll see a certain appreciation of price. As you all know, if there's a 7.8 million shares being dumped into the market, it's hard to absorb that, especially over the summer period when there's not as many buyers around. 5, post-spin out, I believe Orphan will be an attractive suitor to a number of big pharma. What is the company official line on growing the company or preparing for a trade sale? If the latter, what price do you believe is reasonable? Look, first of all, I've always said we're sell at the right price. My view at the moment is we are by far the #1 in the world. UK is by far the #1 world in developing vaccines. So why would we rush to sell at a bad price? Everything is for sale at the right price. I believe at the minute, I wouldn't be buying shares at 26 and 27p. I think unless we thought we're massively undervalued. So that's hopefully answering Elric's 5 questions. Moving swiftly on, we've got quite a few more questions to get through quite fastly. Results, they're grouped into, I think, 14 or 15 results. We've got then a bunch of questions around spin-outs and a host of others. Let's go through these on the results. 1, why is the cash balance reduced in December? I think I covered that. We are profitable. And the cash will stop dropping now because we did have to make an investment. Bear in mind, the spin-outs don't happen on thin air. Malaria study took a little bit of work, and basically the wearables project took some, but it didn't. The 15, bear in mind, 15 folks is a lot of money for a company now that's firmly profitable. So don't worry, that cash balance is not going anywhere. Are you still on track for a cash dividend? Second question at Christmas. Yes, we're targeting, if there's going to be, and there is a very large cash balance, profitable services companies always pay dividends. That's all I can say in that regard. Question 3, will you publish interim results in September? And if so, are you optimistic they will be in decent financial shape? Also, you said on many occasions the last quarter of 2020 was profitable and every month onwards since then. Considering the expansion and expenditure of all parts of the business, are we to expect slim profits? No, we have a quite a firmly very, very attractive, highly profitable business. So yeah, no regards. We are going to, I think, our financial reporting at the end of June could have been done better, and it will be done better. So I think let's target the first half results at the end of September for the first half year, where we try and get that. I think the confusion was Leo, our CFO, was trying to explain it, 2 public companies. One of them was hVIVO, one of them was Venn Life Science, and then integrating those for last year. For a comprehensive, up-to-date view of the company's progress for each of its plans, dividend investments, I think we've done that at a time scale. We've done 1. There's 3 more to be done, and we're work in progress as we go. If you claim the Open Orphan share price should command 8x revenue value because Open Orphan is the #1 in space, investors should have hard numbers. Yeah, I think, look, let's get hard numbers in 2022 towards the end of September. Next question, question 7. Tony Richardson's 2-year lockup expired in June 2020. Do you know his intentions regarding the 16 million shares? There have been discussions that he has commenced unwinding his position, given how little affiliation. I've made clear it wasn't actually Tony Richardson who was doing the most damage. It was another shareholder who was locked up. He's now gone, and Tony Richardson has reassured the board he has sold 2.5 million shares of his 16, and he's happy now to lock up and stay with us until next summer. 8, a share buyback was approved in the AGM. How much cash will be allocated to this? What is the max buyback price? And why has the share price not been used to clear sellers? That is an option. It's always good of options. If we have a large cash balances, all we say would be mad not to have that option sitting there. 9, in the 14th of July RNS, we reported a solidly profitable H1 2021 remains on target. Do you mean you envisage a solid bottom line? Absolutely. And I'm saying for end of 2021 profitable every way which you look at it. Question 10, how is the cash balance looking after the time Manpower spin-off recruitments the last few months? Cash balance is now stabilized around the 15 million. and as we drive forward, should be growing, and that's the plan, or absolutely is growing. 11, given the rapid growth of the business and the delay between the end period of formal interims, full year reportings, would the company consider issuing trading updates? Absolutely. Look, I think the update will be the end of September, and there'll be less confusion. Then we'll be focusing on the first half of the year, and you'll see, no matter which way you look at it, we've already said the first half of the year is profitable. Next question we have here is 12. Before the 2021 results, you given Corey Signatory financials. They were significantly worse than expected. Particularly, they seem to be a very substantial, unexpected rise in costs. This has provided more fuel to critics who are encouraging the view the company can't control its costs, and we may get the same again this year. Can you explain what happens costs? Again, cost base in 20. Bear in mind, we more than double the size of our business and more than double our size of revenue. So naturally, people have focused on cost increase year over year. Just watch in the first half of the year we reported, that is firmly under control. We do focus on costs. So I think don't want people saying costs are under control. They're far from, they're very much in control. Spinouts. We have a number of questions here. Question 1, Cathal, you said in early April that he thought to be one of possibly 2 spinouts at the end of April. When are the rest? So look, end of April, okay, it took us a month longer to do the first one, but absolutely, look, the rest are work in progress. We now have, we have got them into shape, and all I can reassure everybody, they're underway. That's all I can say. Sometimes I want to move very fast, and sometimes we have partners involved in these particular checks. It takes a bit longer, but that is very, very definitely work underway. 2, what is the ongoing relationship with Poolbeg Pharma in supporting drug development using it? Absolutely. The relationship with Poolbeg, I covered it earlier. We're sharing staff, which is great. So that's less of an overhead. So the cost base is dropping rapidly. We can put staff. There is only one new member. So there's a very good relationship. And Poolbeg now will be commissioning challenge studies from Open Orphan because that is a customer. 3 is the Poolbeg Pharma admission documents that Cathal Friel has been appointed non-executive chairman and expected time commitment of 8 to 10 days per month. Cathal has suggested in the past that we be actively involved in disease and motion spin-out when it happens. What does this mean for ongoing involvement in Open Orphan? Absolutely. I like the role. I think being the role of chairman, we have a proper CEO in Poolbeg, Jeremy Skillington. He's doing a fantastic job. We may look within Open Orphan to getting, if disease and motion is coming down the track as fast as we know, of having, it will need a CEO, and at appropriate time, absolutely Open Orphan may get our hands on a CEO late this year, early next year. At the moment, I think we're managing quite fine, but yeah, with disease and motion, it has to come with a CEO. It cannot be CEO of other companies. 4, what is the reasoning for preventing investors from selling POBL for 9 months, which is grossly unfair to investors? Surely would lead up to Penn selling at the time. Why not allow? Yeah, we've given virtually 100% of Poolbeg back to the Open Orphan shareholders. Open Orphan has no stake in it, so it's owned by you, the shareholders. And the plan was to wait 9 months to allow the share price, to allow some decent growth stories, to allow us to get towards a NASDAQ listing. And if demand allows in the meantime, we will start releasing it earlier, but we said a maximum of 9 months. So I think by giving the company under the full-time CEO some time to get the show on the road, I think if you look, we started at 5.7p just over 2 years ago with Open Orphan. If we had freed those shares up on day one, people probably have sold them at 8, 9, 10p. And even at the depressed share price today at 22p, people who held, they're up 4 or 5x. So I think Poolbeg, we want to just allow some time for some share price appreciation, and particularly that we've handed those shares on dividend species that have no tax consequence. The only tax you'll pay in your Poolbeg share is capital gains when you sell them. You've previously commented, question 7, that the company's valued at the higher market cap. I think I covered that one already. Moving swiftly through these. Question 8. Every time a non-core asset is divested from Open, the value becomes less. No, I think we're going to address that better. People thought when we spun off Poolbeg, it was dilutive. That was because we had that forced seller. That was because we had last year results. People saw loss-making companies in last year. I think we'll handle that better. As I showed in the say, when you spin off these companies, they're not dilutive. You end up with shares in additional company, and it allows the core business to continue to grow. 9, in previous meetings, you said you expect each spin-off to be worth perhaps 15 to 20% of the company. So expects the market cap to reduce. Yeah. So each of them has potential. If you think of it, 25 million is handed back to shareholders and pulled back. That is about 15%. So 15 to 20% is what each of them, and some of them could be substantially bigger. And that's before the share price, we get news flow going. 10, how much is ORF charging PO bill for a license? If unable to confirm, yeah, look, there is a payment. Bear in mind, Poolbag was 90+% owned by all shareholders day one. Even today, post the fundraising third party is still majority owned by open orphan shareholders. So absolutely, it's a commercial arm's length agreement. It allows Poolbag to monetize some of that data. Bear in mind, we still have a lot of data for disease in motion. Question 11, Reprep Pharma, rumors of NASDAQ listing via USA SPAC creates an issue for investors in the UK. ISAs have a sole listing. Are you able to clarify whether there's a plans for a sole listing? Absolutely. Look, any listing, we all know, with ISA institutions, if they go to NASDAQ, if that's Prep Pharma, Immutex, whatever, we must also have another dual listing, which is really easy. We can have it in AIM or a standard listing. So rest assured, any goes to NASDAQ will have a London dual listing as well. And we've made it clear that Poolbag is going that way, and it will be dual listed from a very early doors. 12, do you know what solid plans Conserve Bio has for Fluvi? Look, being perfectly honest with you, we feel we've been disappointed with the Conserve Bio. So I think all I can say is in the coming week or two, we will be updating the market. And I think that's a case of we're going to do that job ourselves, basically. And we own 49%, they own 51%. I still can't understand why that hasn't been done in the greatest boom in infectious diseases. There's still plenty of opportunity to do it in the months ahead. That ties into question 13, Conserve Bioscience is really the rebranding of the 51% stake in Immutex. So question 13, Immutex, what is going on here? Without stating you were pushing them, exactly how are you close? Yeah, all I can say, bear with me for a couple of weeks and we'll be updating the market on that in a very positive sense. Question 14, how much will be raised in the disease in motion IPO? Substantially less. Disease in motion does not need a lot of cash. It will be owned by more or less 100% open orphan day one. All of you, the shareholders, the exact same. You will get a dividend species. It'll come HRMC prior approved, so it will be, the plan would be that it will be tax neutral, and we'll do a small fundraise. I think that could be a really, really exciting project. Questions, service business, non-COVID. You've previously stated you were having ongoing discussions regards to China. Absolutely. A lot of these things take sometimes more time than I'm keen on. Work in progress. We all know China is very interested in China studies, very interested in vaccine development. Question 2, can you elaborate on what expansion plans are in place to service further anticipated plans for human? There's lots of plans in place for, there's a lot more China studies coming through. Bear in mind, we have the Royal Free Hospital for all our COVID work. They're ongoing. We have our 24-bed QMB facility, and we have the Whitechapel Hotel, and we can roll out additional bed capacity as we need, as we've done already. 4, what is the current occupancy of the clinics? What is the cost of closing? We don't intend closing any clinics anytime soon, so there won't be any cost in closing the clinic. And the current occupancy, we've always made clear, we're full out for the rest of this year. There's always gaps we can slot in occasions. The beauty of having 3 clinics, and we're pretty well booked out for most of next year. But bear in mind, with 3 clinics, you never get them past 70-80%, and you can always squeeze a little bit. So there's always room to slip in some more studies, especially when we've got currently 3. And as always, we're looking for a 4th. Question 5, in one of your presentations or Q&A a couple of months back, you said you had 5 influenza lined up. So excluding the recent Altimmune one, absolutely. Influenza is one of the biggest growth areas, and that's where we're trying to make clear. COVID's around, it's not going away. There will be a lot more COVID work, but don't forget, influenza are bread and butter. We're also, RSVs are bread and butter, and now we have malaria bread and butter. So it's nice to have a lot of these steady, straightforward studies. And I think I said earlier, Our challenge studies, they're a minimum of 3, on average up to 5, and quite regularly we do 7 million for challenge studies, and we do them within 6-7 months. Service business, COVID. 1. When do you think the COVID characterization study will complete, and can we sign the COVID contracts? As we announced, and that did spook people a little bit, that study is ongoing in the Royal Free. We expected this characterization to complete this autumn, and that's all we can say about it. Question 2, is hVIVO doing phase 2 trial for Codagenics? Again, it's sensitive, we can't say much, but you can take it as read. We have strong optimism on substantial more work from Codagenics. 3, do Open Orphan have continued access to Royal Free Hospital after completion of government studies? If so, would the COVID chance to be a viable position as offering staff and rental? Absolutely. The beauty about the Royal Free, we've made it clear, we do not pay rent. The government pays the rent in the Royal Free. So it's a fabulous facility for us to have. It's quite busy with our COVID work, and let's see what happens. So it's a beauty of one that the previous question talked about shutting down or anything else, but we have just access to it to run the COVID studies, and it's a part of the reason there's a disconnect somewhat on the 37 million. There's quite a bit of money the government out of that large study goes directly to Royal Free that we don't commit to and doesn't involve us. 4, when do you expect the results of the extended government trial? Later this year. Question 5, how much was ORF paid for the cardiac structure and how long? All I said, if you know, it was a significant extension, and our average challenge study is 3, 4, 5, so you can take it as read. Significant is in excess of that. 6, when are we expecting the much promised COVID vaccine CHIMS trials? Are we expecting these to generate 10 much, and will it come in? Are you expecting the clinics are likely? Yeah, look, the Royal Free is geared up to do all of those studies. We're not paying rent, and when they come through, they won't come through till we complete the characterization study. That's all I can say in that regards. I am always emphasizing we are in an 80 to 85% non-COVID business, and it's a fabulous place to be when you think of the infectious disease growth. This market has gone from 20 billion annually to 250 billion, and that's a hell of a place to be. None of us 6 or 9 months would have guessed infectious diseases would have a 10-fold increase, and that 250 billion a year by 2025 is not going away anytime soon. 7, Oxford are conducting a coronavirus reinfection challenge. Can you confirm you're using hVIVO CHIM for this trial? If so, does that mean the character is success? Yes. The beauty of that is we are the only people. Oxford had to get us to grow and use our the challenge agent that we grew that was paid for, not us. The UK vaccine testers paid it, but that is the challenge agent that we grew. General outlook, and we're getting near. I'm just conscious that we said we'd keep this presentation about 1 hour tonight, so we've got some more questions, and then there's quite a few of these questions already answered, and Louise deleted them all. So let me keep going quickly through. General company outlook. 1, assuming Open Orphan isn't bought out, what is your vision, including market caps, for the core ORF business and all the spin-outs 2 to 3 years' time? I just think the general outlook, it's a hell of a place to be. We're the only people in the world where you can do challenge studies for testing vaccines and antivirals. There's some small competitors such as universities and things, but we're by far the market leader. That's a hell of a place to be. So I'm quite excited. We will spin off the spin-offs. We will hand you dividend species every time, and that will allow us to really grow the core business and continue being market leader, and which does make us very attractive to third parties. Question 2, in the view of the problems Open Orphans being at least partly those of perception, would the company consider splitting the role of chairman and CEO? Absolutely. I've said each of the spinouts will have their own CEO. I quite enjoy, I think, the role of chairman. You can be across a number of companies, but over the next 6 to 12 months, if Open Orphan continues to grow as it's growing, absolutely we will look at a proper CEO with an Open Orphan, but I'm going to remain very hands-on as an executive chairman's role. 3, is it acceptable there's been over-optimism in the past which has not been confirmed to this? Yes, I've said numerous times, sometimes I get overexcited, sometimes I want things to happen really fast, and they don't happen quite as fast as one would hope for. So hopefully I'm kind of tempering, but at the same time, nothing has changed. We have a very profitable, very attractive business that's growing its cash balances. We are not burning cash. So I think there's few companies on AIM at the moment as attractive in my view as what we have here. 5, would you please put an updated list top 10 shareholders on investor page? Unfortunately, when it comes to shareholders, unless they've over 3%, we're not allowed to put them up. We have a lot of institutions who came in May last year. None of them in May last year crossed the 3% threshold. Some of them have sold down, but anybody who goes to Bloomberg, you can see we still have quite a range of institutions that are unfortunately below the 3% notifiable stake. So that's unfortunately where we are. And given the fact that we're still a couple hundred million market cap, it does take a chunky institution to pop above that 3%. 6, the company's completely lost the positive sentiment. Absolutely, yeah. Just a few months ago, why are we doing it? So hopefully, I'm trying to repeat, the positive sentiment was, it was a perfect storm. It was the end of June. We had, as a result of the lockup, one of the shareholders literally dumping a very substantial amount of shareholders. Tony Richards got blamed. People kept looking at him with 16 million shares. He only sold, and he's cooperating and working with the board, and he's agreed to lock up his balance. So hopefully, and being honest with you, while that shareholder, and I think you know how I operate the last 6-7 weeks, as he was dumping, one could say the company might have somewhat. We weren't rushing to put too much news flow. And I think it's ironic in the timing. We announced our malarial study today. That is a very, very big fundamental, and I don't think it would have made sense to be announcing that malarial challenge study in recent weeks till we got rid of that shareholder. So I think, as I say, this is start of the fight back. The overhang was cleared last week. It's gone. There is no other overhang, naturally and unfortunately. There will be other shareholders now selling, but hopefully we're going to crank up the news flow as in from today. And this is the start of, to say, the fight back, to get some life back into the share, and knowing that there's no any other substantials. Okay, moving swiftly on. Question 7, as noted, you commented on being in Antwerp a month or so ago as part of a small Euro trip. Was it just to visit Bruno, eyes up some expansion plan? All of those. Bruno's there. I think, yeah, let's watch that space in Antwerp, the Benelux countries. Something interesting to reveal there in the coming month or two. All positive. It wasn't just to visit Bruno. Share price. And this is the last group of these questions, and then we're going to go into the rest of them. We've got 5 or 6 questions in share price. I think I've dealt with most of them. Question 1, for some considered there's been persistent sellers of ORF shares. Are you aware of current shareholders? I think I've dealt with that. It was one party that was locked up. The minute it's locked up, unfortunately, just started dumping shares, and we are where we are. We've got rid of him. And if you track that shareholding, as I said, you'll see he's off the register. 2, are there any institutions still invested in ORPHAN, and are they selling down in an erratic way? Are you trying to be more institutional support for ORPHAN? Would you please promote the core business more and the number of contracts? To be perfectly honest with you, between now and Christmas, I've always said we should try and have one challenge study every month. Not saying I'll have one every month. Between now and Christmas, we definitely, you will see quite amount of news flow on new challenge studies, and not just COVID work. And it wouldn't have made sense over the last 6 weeks while we had somebody dumping shares to be feeding, so we're not completely stupid. There is contracts out there, and we're working on them. Question 3, how many shares? I think we made clear. Tony Richardson sold 1.5 million at the end of June, and he sold 1 million last week, and he's happy to lock up the rest. So that should be very good news for everybody. Question 4, please can you explain what happened to share price? Done. Clearly dropped. It's all done. Are there any institutions here? Yeah, look, at the end of the summer, institutions are around the moment. We would expect the shares we placed last week, I had to do it myself, were with institutions. So the plan now would be to try and get institutions showing interest as we come into the end of the summer. Question 5, are you optimistic getting the ORF share price back to 40? Absolutely. I would not have bought shares at 26, 27p. I want to see my shareholding double. 6, what is putting big investors off the moment, and what are you doing about it? We're engaging with large shareholders. So we would hope, say we placed the balance of that distressed shareholder last week, and hopefully more to come. Okay, just going down through these, taking these from the top. James C. Hi, Carl. The original plan for ORF was to sell access to data to pharma companies. Yeah, look, this is all wrapped up in a disease in motion. So, James, that's work in progress. That's the disease in motion. We made it really clear, disease in motion. We've proved we can do it, but bear in mind, we had to prove the model. We got rid of the built-up losses. We can now pay dividend species, so that the spin-outs have started. just reading this. So these some of these already answered. James F. SGS are getting very near to having their own building completed and ready. James, are you taking it? Look, we don't see any issue with SGS at the moment. Their core staff are with us. They're very much in the phase one. So yeah, we've no issue. And I'm always in the business of friendly and working with them. And who knows, they've got 24 beds, of which they're not particularly using. So SGS could be very, very useful, let's say, friendly party to have out there if we're really gearing up. Paul B, clearly there's no income tax to pay. However, do we base cost for at the issue price or dividends fees? This is the pool bag shares. There's no income tax. You will only pay capital gains tax and at the dividend species value. E&M, what stake in PO does new CEO have? If none, what is it? Yeah, look, being very clearly, people got a bit worried with to get the model right. I have a very small, I have about 1.5–2% of pool bag that incentivized myself to work very hard. And we've put a small stake together for the management team, and I have a very small stake in there. So that's where we didn't have 100% day one, it was nearly 100%. Stephen T, if we held open orphan shares in CFDs before the qualifying date, yes, if you held them in a CFD, the CFD provider gets the dividend species. So anybody who held open up, but again, look, you need to talk to your CFD provider because I'm out of my league in that regard. So you need to talk to your advisors. Anybody who held shares on the qualifying date in the company got pool bag shares. If there was other products, you need to talk to your advisor. Jonathan B. Stephen T. Is it technology used for Immutex vaccines, influenza, and are being superseded by new vaccines development? With folks, the beauty about Immutex and the reason I'm massively frustrated by it is that, and folks, we're down to our last 4 questions, so we will be closing down within the hour-ish. There's something fundamentally wrong. Our friends in Conservative weren't able to do something there. All I'm saying, we are going to make something happen. That vaccines, anti-malarial, all that space that's in there, it's huge, huge growth. And let's sit back. There is more different species coming, and the Immutex one is just crying out to be done. Robin D, can you explain how you conduct a challenge study in COPD and asthma? Very simple. We bring them in and we exasperate them using one of our viral challenge agents. We induce very mild Masta. Robert R, we have full control of 2 or 3 spinouts. Has the running order changed with our friends? Absolutely. Look, some of our friends don't move as fast as we do, but now we have the first one. Bear in mind, we as a company and you as very loyal shareholders, we have created a second public company. It's not a rinky dinky. Bear in mind, Poolbag is a 53 or 55 million market cap company with no news flow. We're going to have substantial news flow at the end of the summer and going forward. It'd be crazy to have news flow just the moment, nobody around. So let's get the rest of them done and done fast. Robert R, that one's answered. Yes, Bruno B, you mentioned using some of the cash to make a targeted bolt-on acquisition. We're always looking for things. We're not going to spend big, I said, small amounts of cash for bolt-ons. So we are on expansion mode, and all it says, watch that space. Last 3 questions, or last 2. Colin K, what's your forecasted time frame to get the share price back to 40p? Let's see where we go. I think as we start spinning these off and people realize the distressed shareholder is gone, that we are definitely very profitable this year rather than the confusion was around the cons. I think the share price will start ticking up rather nicely. Stephen R, please can you comment on the recent SAGE minutes published the government which confirmed the character had been completed safely and expanded and what it means for open orphan? Yeah, that was the SAGE minutes, but that was the original one. So you've been ahead of the game. That didn't include the extension. And that's when I say the extension is well underway and will complete this autumn. Folks, I think that completes all the questions I've in. I think we did it within the hour. And apologies with the video. I don't know what happened tonight, but hopefully, Paul, if you and all the folks could hear me okay. No, look, the final words is we managed to rattle through the presentation in an hour despite some technical difficulties. I think it's a really exciting place to be. I think United Kingdom, I've moved most of my time. I originally was in Dublin, virtually 100% in the UK. It's a fantastic time to be building a business like this. We are almost the centre of the universe here in London at the moment. All roads passing through. And I couldn't be happier, more excited. I know busy. We know we've had 6 weeks. We could have done them better. It was almost a perfect storm of issues, but we have a lot done. As I say, a lot more to do in the next 6-8 weeks, in the next 6 months. As I say, I couldn't be more excited, and let's see where this all brings us.